Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello brother and sisters. Before I explain my material, I will introduce myself first. Okay, my name is Shafina Putri from the English Education Department. I want to bring about the micro and macro linguistics. Okay, we go to the first material about the microlinguistic. Microlinguistic is a branch of linguistics is concerned with internal system content of language. The study focuses on the internal structure of particular language and all of its language. So, the interdisciplinary part of the study microlinguistics, they are phonology, morphology, semantics, and syntax. We'll explain you the first about phonology. Phonology linguistic, which studies the sound of language in general, whether the sound of language have meaning or not. Phonology is defined the study of language, which describes the sound of language produced by human speech tools. Okay, the second is morphology. Morphology is the science of linguistics. The study includes the discussion of words and groups of words. Morphology also investigates the structure, parts, and ways word of formation. The next is semantics. Semantics is a branch of linguistics that study the meaning of contained in language, code or other models, whether for lexical, grammatical, or contextual. So, semantics usually associate with two aspects, syntax and pragmatics. If syntax is the formation of complex symbols from simple symbols, if pragmatics is particularly use symbols of communities in certain symbol or certain context. Okay, the last about syntax. Syntax is the sense of principle and regulation for making sentence natural units. Syntax also is a branch of linguistics that talks about words in relation to other words as a unit of speech in syntax that is often focused or discussed, such as semantical structures, including problems of function and category and role. Okay, now we go to the next material about the microlinguistic. Microlinguistic is the scope of linguistics that study language in relation to the world outside of language, which is related and science and how it's applied in everyday life. In microlinguistics, there are two fields, namely the first interdisciplinary linguistics, the second applied linguistics, and microlinguistics is a both. Okay, now we talk about the macrolinguistic field in codes. The first is sociolinguistic. Sociolinguistic is the interdisciplinary studies that study the relationship and influence of culture of the way language is used. In this case, language is closely related to the socio-cultural community of the area as the subject or an actor of language as a means of communication and interaction between one group to another group. Next, about psycholinguistic. Psycholinguistic is interdisciplinary study that examines the relationship between language and mental, including how humans acquire and use language itself. So, the next is anthropolinguistic. Anthropolinguistic is science that study human and culture as a whole. On the one hand, humans are the creator of culture. And the other hand, it is culture that creates human. So, cultural linguistics is treat language as a meaningful phenomenon. It can only be understood as a whole if it's related to the culture of the speakers. So the next is stylistics. Stylistics is the science that study the language used in the literary forms. So stylistics is an interdisciplinary science between linguistics and literature. The next is philology. Philology is the study of language in written historical source. which is a combination in literary critics or history and linguistics. It is more often divided in the study of literary texts and written records, the determination of their meaning. So the next is philosophy of language. Philosophy of language is the combined science of linguistics and philosophy. This science investigates the nature and position of language as a human activity, as well as the conceptual and linguistic foundation of science. So the next is dialectology. Dialectology is the science of dialects, the linguistic branch that examines difference about isolation difference. So the next is neurolinguistics. Neurolinguistic is a study that seeks to understand the work of the brain to process language activities as well as psycholinguistics. But the focus is different. If neurolinguistic is more concerned with understanding language difficulties or language disorders, which include speaking, listening, reading, writing, and second language activities that interfere with communication. Next, about the paleography. Paleography is the branch of linguistics that studies language in relation to the description of ancient writings, especially those of the Middle Age. So the last about the semantics. Semantics is the branch of linguistics that study language in terms, symbolic, symbol, and etc. Now we go to about the macrolinguistic has several parts. The first part is medical linguistic. The meaning is medical linguistic, also known as a language pathology, is a field of applied linguistics that includes language disabilities and so on. So the second is educational linguistics. Educational linguistics is known as pedagogical linguistics. It's a branch of applied linguistics concerned with increasing the efficiency of language teaching by providing a comprehensive description of basic process and by using adequate teaching methods. The next is forensic linguistics. Forensic linguistics is a branch of applied linguistics related to law. Forensic linguistics is used to investigate crimes where part of the evidence is the form of language data. The next is lexicography. It's a branch of applied linguistics that includes methods and techniques for composing dictionary. The next is translation. The meaning is the field of applied linguistics includes methods and techniques for transferring message from one language to another language. So the next is applied sociolinguistics. The applied linguistics field studies the application of language used as social communication. The next is graphology. Graphology is the linguistic study of symbolic system used to convey language message in written forms. So the next is language teaching. Language teaching is the field of applied linguistics that study language for the benefit of the language teaching and learning process. So both native and native language. The next is about mechanolinguistics. Mechanolinguistics is the field of applied linguistics which includes the use of linguistics for computer science and attempts to make translation machines and make use of computer in language research. The next is language development. Language development is the field of applied linguistics that study language so that language users are aware and obey the prevalent rules. The next is medical linguistics. Medical linguistics is the field of applied linguistics that studies language to be applied in medicine. So the last about the applied phonetics. Applied phonetics is the branch of applied linguistics that science that study the sound of language and their particle use. Okay, my maybe just this what I able to you all. If you found me some mistake, I hope forgive me. See you next time, and the last I see you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.